Howdy, Sailor the Piper Man, Piper the Sailor Man, coming to you from the island of Puerto Rico. Season's greetings to all my friends. You know who you are. And, well, I'm finishing this off. Look, this is really nice, right? That comes with inside my Garworth and Hogarth Black Cherry. I've been smoking lately, as you know by now, if you've been following me, and I'm using my turn on the light. I'm using, you know what that is? Little bulldog. I'm satisfied with any pipe I can clamp down on, truly. I talk about it religiously, and the reason why is I want them pipe makers to make more pipes that you can clamp down on. And if you do make them, I'll buy them. There's a lot of us elderly, call myself elderly, that we still smoke pipe, and we don't have the best teeth anymore, and it's worn out, and we need clenches. I don't mind holding it, if I'm going to be sick for a long period of time. But I like, that's how I learned. Old school, you know? The new schools are into the look at the pipe, and you was a working man and you wanted to smoke some tobacco. The emphasis was on tobacco, not on how artsy your pipe looked, or utility. There's nothing wrong with having a pipe that looks good. But you guys know what I'm talking about. You're in a farmhand, you can't afford expensive pipe. You come up with a corn cob pipe. Some of you don't like it, but it was there for the working man. When they grabbed Briar, they really didn't know about Briar and all the things that we know. What makes a good Briar? What doesn't make a good Briar? Some certain Briars are superior to other Briar. This one happens to be Algerian. But how do you find things like that? Is you get knowledgeable about the company, about the pipe maker, his source, where he gets his briars from. Then you go to his source and you find out he got it in Italy, and then you find out what trees they use, and you find out what they import from Algeria is cost effective. When they run out, what do they use? Algerian, they use Corsica on the island of Crete. And my uncle, who was in World War II, became very knowledgeable because he lived in he had to live in North Africa for over a year. Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. And once they took over a city, went to the city, and there were pipes. And he said there was one pipe shop in Algeria where man was actually making pipes. The old school way, no machinery, everything was by hand. I said, really, Dad? Yeah. He would say to me that the Italians invented the machinery and stuff. And I said, I don't know about that, but he came close, almost the same time. A lot of the big companies, Rossi, Savinelli, a lot of them moved to. But I think, personally, I believe that Peterson systematized the system and the models, and They're like that. The English are like that. They like order. They like methodology. You walk into their place, everything is uniform for mass production. That didn't happen in all of Europe. To this day, you can go to some people's shop and I don't know how they can work out of it. Everything's thrown all over there. Briars here, briars there. But the end result is they make a good pipe, right? I just can't. I'm orderly, and I need to see the consistency. With consistency and order, you can produce a good product. That I give it to the Germans. Germans are very good with that. Well, I'm out here in the sun. Just sorry for you guys. Just sitting out here. We got rails. Yeah, my trees behind me. I had a wonderful day. I went visit my mom. I was with my mom. I wasn't able to shoot much, and we were all supposed to get together and go to some other place. And that fell through. They didn't have the festival. So I decided, from now on, Mom, I'm not going to go visit nobody. We're going to do it. We're now home, and if anybody wants to come, let them come. Because we know how to do it right. Sorry to say, we kept Christmas for over 100 years. We know how to do it right. I remember I was, must have been about 7, 8 years old. And my uncle, he had been in the North Atlantic, gone to Norway, Sweden, Oslo. And he saw trees, huge trees and everything. And he learned the difference between one pine tree over another pine tree. So I recall he went up to Vermont, New Hampshire. He drove up there with a friend of his and a pickup truck. He came back with the biggest, hugest tree. I don't know how much. And he wanted that tree in our living room. We had a basement living room that was huge. 3 times the size of this huge. High ceiling, about 14 foot. At the time we were living in a brownstone building. But the circumference of that tree, was so wide, it blocked one of the doors. I remember, I don't know what he used. He used some kind of weights to hold it from falling. Huge, almost like a top. It was heavy, man. There was 4 men to lift that up. So you can tell he put that tree in there, and the women in my family began working on it. And at the very end, Uncle had to get one of those worky ladders to get to the very top. And back then, they had these bulbs with liquids, traveled up and down, electrical bulbs, all kind of bulbs. Stuff that came from Europe. Beautiful, man. And you walk in that basement living room, he had one of those Lionel train sets, the old train sets, electrical. Running through a village, landscape village, snow village, that my uncle liked Lionel. Running through the floor, lights everywhere, images. You felt like you were in some kind of winter wonderland. And it was beautiful. It's like walking into a Schwartz in New York. I don't know if you ever been there. It was like a fairyland. And my uncle, he just said, I like to feel like I'm in Norway. He spent a Christmas in Norway. He said, it's the best. The sweat, the cedar, smell of the cedar, smell of the pine. That's exactly what it was, you know. You should eat so much food. There was so much to drink, so much music, all the classic stuff from Bing Crosby. Just the other day, I put Bing Crosby on and I smoked me a bowl. If all those pictures that he did with the pipe in his hand, it just brought nostalgia, and it's good. Never forget the good times in life. If anything, the older you get, think about them. For me, a good time in my life is being out in the open sea. And I saw a documentary, and I seen the water, how rough it is, man. It's both fascinating to look at when you're in a typhoon, to look at, and at the same time, it's the most fearful thing. You see the water as friendly, but at the same time, you can sense the power of an ocean lifting a military ship, lifting an aircraft carrier, lifting a battleship, and tossing it around like a toy. And you're up on the deck and you're holding on for life. I used to sleep with my wrapped up in the fantail, second deck down. Underneath me was the fantail and the radio man that sat in the back watching the rotary, so you could hear it, the power of it. When I opened up the latch and looked down there, he would be down there. I said, you want some coffee? He had the night watch. Yeah, man. I said, I can't sleep. So I get up, go to the mess deck, and the guys in the morning shift used to be up about 3 in the morning, preparing the morning breakfast for the guys. And there was a guy there, a Latin guy and a Filipino guy. His name was Ecuador. So Ecuador was in charge of huge amounts of eggs, making Western omelets, whatever. He said, Miguel, do you want something to eat? I said, I'll take some of that omelet with the peppers and whatever, onions. And so he take that, make it for me. I take that up, and I bring a big pitcher of coffee, black coffee. And there would be different guys every night, and I knew all of them. Hey, Santi, what's up, man? You going down to the mess deck? I go, you bring me some coffee? And then I bring them their coffee. I would go to their deck, travel to the back, bring them their coffee. They sit their decks, man. I was like, oh, man, it's cold back here. But the wind, there was nothing like the fresh air out in open sea. To this day, there's no air on land, wind, like it is out at sea. I don't know, the combination of the wind with the salt water, evaporated, it's just pure, great smelling, man, in your lungs. From time to time, you be out there. Sometimes I stay up in the fantail with the guy. You can see the multitudes of stars. The most impressive to me was the Southern Cross, down underneath the equator. You look up and you see myriads and myriads of stars and meteorites coming down, being burned up in the atmosphere. Oh Lord, we call them shooting stars. And you look up there And you say, who in the heck made all this, man? Sometimes it get cold and you put on something. I put up a black turtleneck sweater. I have my cap. I have my clincher pipe. I have my Captain Black. Dipping it in. Lighting it up. How in the hell can you light up a pipe with a match? It was the art. Cover yourself, gotta hold it a certain way. It used to take me more than one match, of course. But later, I had that spark going, and I started drawing, and I draw heavy because of that. You have to draw hard out at sea. The Just sitting back there, the guy on the radio. You look out at the ocean, you see those birds following the ship. Sea life. The changing of the clouds are changing. You see water sprouts, whales. You hardly saw, in the South Pacific, you saw a lot of sperm whales. More than blue whales, you saw sperm whales. In the South Pacific, amazing creatures, man. I remember one time, a school was coming by, and one came to the surface and turned sideways and looked straight at me, man. All of us, we wondered, look at that, he's looking at us. And he's just like, oh, they know there's boats above us. They know who we are. These little kids, they know who we are. They know how to stay away from us. Animals know. They get your vibe. I never had a shark attack me. I've been in water, mako sharks, hammerhead sharks, nurse sharks, and I was never attacked. Being in the water, I was never attacked. You set off fear. When you're in the water, there's fear, the vibrations, travel, man. Oh, they know you're in the water. You can be a mile away, they know who's in the water. The vibrations. Life is amazing, man. How a bird can travel with a ship from one continent to another continent is amazing. Without landing on board the ship. Just gliding in the air. We're causing some kind of jet stream in the water going 15 knots. Just moving the air, and they just not even winging it. They just gliding with us, man. From time to time, whatever we throw off the back of the aft of the ship, they dive in the water, boom, grab whatever, keep flying with us. Beautiful, man. Blue. Water was so blue, you could see it about 15 feet down underneath the water. That's how blue the water was in the South Pacific. It was so still. It was like a knife cutting through butter. And as a kid, I used to imagine myself doing that trip that Heidethor, the Norwegian, did from Chile. He traveled Galapagos Islands. I got to see that. I got to see Easter Island, man. Galapagos Island, the island of Pitcairn. From Mutiny on the Bounty, I got to see the island and the ancestors of those people. We were out at sea. We ported out there. You bobbing out there, man. And these people on this small island living there for hundreds of years. In the 17th century, I think. Huge whale ships they had coming on, and you were offloading some things. It was amazing. These people survive. These Polynesian people travel from island to island, man. These big boats, heavy. One boat made from one tree, man. They knew where they were sailing. They knew how to sail using the stars. That's when you're real sailing, man. I could do that here in the Caribbean because I've done it already. Catch the trade winds coming and going from Africa to the Caribbean. Once we enter the Caribbean, it makes a right turn, Venezuela, Colombia, and go into the Gulf. That's treacherous water. When the Gulf then picks up, you catch a trade wind going out into the Atlantic, past Florida and the Florida Keys, out into that's the most violent ocean in the world, the Atlantic. Violent, man. I would wonder sometimes, Uncle, how did you guys survive being adrift? Yeah, I don't know. That in the Indian Ocean, parts of Western Australia, some plane went down there. Let me tell you, Western Australia, Fremantle. Look at them at Fremantle. The coast of Western Australia is treacherous, man. And my brother agrees with me. He says, when we were in this water, what was the sense you got? My brother said, you were like in the deepest part of the ocean. They still haven't been able to go all the way down there. I mean, they've gone to Challenger Deep, to small, naval subs have got. But that part, and when you get out there and you're in the ocean, you're like, how in the heck Magellan went around the world? Because you got Australia, and you got the Cape of Good Horn, and the wind there underneath Africa, or underneath South America. I did that, but the sailing that had to be done back in the day with those ships, you had to be really good. You had to be really good. Those men were brave, man. Oh, ho, ho. Those guys were brave. All those sailors that sailed from the 1600, 1500, Vikings, you had to have your balls in place, man. Yeah, I'm traveling a military ship. I got to go on a clipper with midshipmen recruits from Annapolis. I went on one, caught a trip back. It's huge, man, climbing all that. I can't do that. I don't know what I could do. Modern sailors, you can't compare. You cannot compare with sailors from the Phoenicians. They said the Mediterranean is a violent sea. They call it a Mediterranean Sea. It's violent. The weather changed. The weather patterns changed so much. I remember going from Cartagena. No, from Cadiz, which is the farthest west, traveling into the Pillars of Hercules. Violent jets, Moroccan jets, and British jets flying every day. Once you go into the Mediterranean, and then it's more, and all of a sudden it goes out, until you can't see North Africa, and you can't see Barcelona, Cartagena, the French Riviera, Marseille. You can't see the north. What's interesting in the north, the water seemed different, more blue. Morocco, Tunisia, Algiers, Libya. I said, man, these Phoenicians set up trading posts all over the place. They had truly command of the sea. Some believe that the tribe of Dan that took to the sea were the Phoenicians. I don't know. I wasn't there. But those Vikings too, man, were amazing, strong, brave. Not only did they sail the sea, but then they came upon your land and wreak havoc on you, man. Holy cow. Not that they sailed the sea, but once they came ashore, they wreaked havoc on people, man. That's no joke. The strong men. Hatchets. You know? I remember, I only mention it because it's true. It's only true. I like to tell the truth. There was a couple of black guys in the military with me, and they always thought everything was athletic. You know, who's the stronger? A black stronger than white, or white stronger than black, and everything. And I told them, read history. Read history. He goes, you got some white in you, Miguel. You got some Caucasian and whatever. I go, yeah, I do. I'm proud of it too. I got Anglo-Saxon. That's two tribes, the Sacs and the Anglos. I got some Viking blood in me. Heck yeah. He goes, you know what's your problem? You always you think the Americans now were the whites now, Americans now, were the same. I said, let me tell you, my best friends, when I saw action, I told them we're kids from Kentucky, Tennessee, Wyoming. They knew how to shoot. This is they knew how to shoot. He goes, I says, no, they know I know my stuff too. They know I know medic. They know I'm not gonna leave them behind. They know I'm loyal. I'll never leave. I never lost a man that got injured. Never. 17. I helped 17 get back. I never lost one. And some of them had stomach wounds, back wounds. One AK round hit one dude, we went right through him, man. Opened his back, and we were able to save him. He says, what was your secret? There's no secret. The most important thing you better know how to do when you're out there as a medic is to find that vein. If you cannot hit that vein to open up for IV, for medical, for you shouldn't even be a medic. You go to these hospitals now with these nurses, they have problems. They have problems finding a vein. I said, how you nurse? How can you possibly be in an ER? Somebody's bleeding out and you can't open up an IV? You know, you couldn't even be a medic if you didn't know how to open up an IV. They look around. I was like, what the heck? Listen, if I was a master of anything, I was a master of opening up a line. In the middle of all the chaos, to be able to focus in, and somebody's crying, somebody's yelling, and you gotta find the IV and hit that and put morphine or put whatever they gave you. I was one of the few medics that all I carried was a 45. And every pocket that I had was full of IVs and drugs. My backpack didn't have no food supplies. I had nothing but IVs to keep people alive. What are you gonna eat? I said, you guys are gonna let me starve? Oh no, we ain't gonna let you starve. So you best, when I ask for protein, that peanut butter that's in there, and those crackers, you better give me some. Oh, this is a random thought. From time to time, I think about that. You know, the experiences I went through. I guess I was talking to my brother. I was been to my brother, so my train of thought is all these things that, you know, how does it help somebody that wants to go into the military? Learn how to open up an IV line in the dark. You hear me? In the dark with tracer rounds, everything. Find that vein, pop it open, put that dextrose, put that whatever that guy potassium, whatever that you need to put in there. You got to do it in the dark, man. Just like somebody with an F16 or whatever carbine. You better know how to take it apart, put it back, and make sure it works. This could be your life. Well, that's it, the Piper Man, Piper the Sailor Man, with random thoughts. Have a good one.